You have always sensed it, haven't you? That subtle, almost imperceptible tension that flows beneath the surface of every interaction. A glance that lingers too long. A laughter that hides a question. A silence that carries weight you cannot yet name. These are not accidents. They are currents, invisible and unspoken, moving beneath the tides of behavior, desire, and instinct. What separates the women who stray from those who remain steadfast is not grand gestures or whispered promises. It is the reflection of your own presence, the gravity of your composure, the authority you embody without effort. Yet most men wander blind, mistaking attention for respect, reaction for power, and noise for significance. They chase signals they cannot read, hoping words alone will tether loyalty, unaware that the invisible architecture of human behavior demands far more subtle mastery. Pay attention now. Loyalty is revealed not in declarations, but in the moments she believes she is alone. In the private theater of her mind, away from the gaze of the world, she tests not you, but the atmosphere you create, the energy you carry, the steadiness you exude. A glance, a pause, the way she moves in your presence, or even in your absence, these are the hidden languages through which she expresses allegiance. The woman who will remain faithful senses the invisible contract you do not speak aloud. She responds not to words, but to the silent geometry of your composure, the unyielding calm of a man who owns himself completely. And yet, there is a paradox here that most men never perceive. She does not consciously measure loyalty or betrayal. Her mind, tuned by evolution and sculpted by social dynamics, reacts first to patterns, rhythms, and emotional gravity. The moment she perceives inconsistency, hesitation, or volatility, her instincts stir. They do not whisper logic. They whisper opportunity. The moment she senses weakness, even subtly, the possibility of deviation emerges. This is why the traits that anchor loyalty are nearly invisible, rarely spoken, and almost impossible to recognize if you are untrained in perception. They exist not in the world of what she says, but in the realm of what she feels, what she observes, and how she interprets the energy you radiate. Consider this carefully. The women who drift are drawn not by malice, but by a vacuum of authority, a subtle deficit in emotional mastery, or a lack of unshakable presence. Their minds, ever alert to imbalance, scan for signals of vulnerability, moments where the man they are with falters, reacts, or loses control. Conversely, the women who remain loyal are drawn towards certainty, clarity, and the quiet dominion of a man who commands his own world without effort or proclamation. She does not require attention. She requires gravity. She does not measure words. She measures steadiness. She does not chase excitement. She seeks constancy, reliability, and the reflection of inner power in the outer world. And here lies your responsibility and your opportunity. Observe yourself. Watch the moments when she tests boundaries, when subtle provocations press against your emotional center. Do you react impulsively? Do you fracture under the weight of tension or expectation? Or do you maintain the stillness that signals mastery, the unspoken authority that communicates, without words, that you are sovereign over your own state? Loyalty is never won by shouting, pleading, or controlling. It is earned through presence, patience, and the quiet arithmetic of composure. Every glance, every pause, every measured silence communicates volumes she cannot ignore. This is not merely a lesson in attraction. This is a lesson in the invisible laws that govern human behavior, desire, and allegiance. The woman who is loyal senses patterns of strength and weakness in every interaction. She measures whether your mind is anchored, whether your emotions are disciplined, and whether your actions are aligned with an internal compass that does not waver in the face of uncertainty. The women who stray do so when they perceive fractures, vacuums, or turbulence, when the subtle signal of instability outweighs the quiet gravity of your authority. Now consider the paradox of reflection. She mirrors what you carry. Her fidelity is not solely her choice. It is a response to the quality of your presence, the mastery of your inner world, and the authority you silently project into the space you occupy. When you are unshaken, composed, and deliberate, she responds with trust, attachment, and loyalty. When you are reactive, anxious, or uncertain, she perceives absence where there should be gravity, and desire drifts toward what is firm, stable, and commanding. Look deeper. The hidden traits of loyalty, the unspoken, almost mystical qualities that determine whether she remains or strays, are rooted in psychological and emotional resonance. You must understand that the external behaviors you observe are merely shadows cast by internal mastery. Your patience, your ability to withhold immediate reaction, your unwavering calm, these are the markers of masculine authority that command respect on a primal level. They are the traits that, without conscious recognition, anchor her trust and secure her commitment. And so, the first step in understanding loyalty is internal. It begins with you in the silent chambers of self-discipline, emotional control, and philosophical clarity. You cannot change her nature. You cannot rewrite her instincts. But you can occupy your own inner world with such unwavering authority that she, instinctively, aligns her behavior with the gravity you radiate. Presence, patience, and poise become the currency of fidelity. Every act of control, every measured withdrawal, every silent affirmation of your own sovereignty signals to her subconscious that this is a man to whom loyalty is natural, inevitable, and safe. You begin to see, perhaps for the first time, that attraction and allegiance are not transactional. They are reflective, responsive, and deeply intertwined with the emotional and psychological energy you carry. The subtle, almost invisible currents of her behavior are shaped not by your words, but by your composure, not by your effort, but by your mastery, not by your insistence, but by your presence. The women who remain loyal are those who perceive, feel, and respond to this invisible architecture of self-possession. The women who stray are those who encounter fissures, hesitations, and signals of instability. And the revelation becomes clear. Loyalty is never about her. It is about the man she mirrors. Pause and reflect on this. Every micro-expression she exhibits, every subtle shift in tone or movement, is a reflection of the unspoken conversation between her instincts and your presence. If you are steady, she is anchored. If you are fractured, she is free to drift. The power to command loyalty, to evoke respect, and to elicit deep, abiding attraction is not something you negotiate. It is something you embody silently, without proclamation, in every glance, every pause, every measured action. And so, as you step into the world, carrying this understanding, consider the weight of your own presence. Consider the gravity of your calm, the authority of your restraint, and the invisible currents you create in every interaction. What you cultivate within yourself will ripple outward, shaping not only how women perceive you, but how they respond, how they remain, how they drift, and ultimately, how they reveal the hidden truths of their own instincts in response to your mastery. In this understanding, you begin to perceive the invisible dance of fidelity and desire, and you see, for the first time, that the woman's loyalty is a mirror of the man you choose to become. You begin to understand something most men never see. A woman's loyalty does not emerge from her words, her promises, or the softness of her affection. It emerges from the silent architecture of her internal world, shaped by her history, her impulses, and the emotional gravity she feels when she stands in your presence. And this is where the fracture between the loyal and the unfaithful becomes unmistakably clear. The loyal woman feels anchored by the man who stands firm in himself. The disloyal woman feels unanchored by the same strength, pulled instead by her own unmet shadows, her internal storms, her unresolved cravings for validation that no man alive could ever fully satisfy. You notice it not in her behavior, but in her relationship with herself. A loyal woman moves through intimacy with a certain steadiness, not perfection, but orientation. She does not run from discomfort, nor does she collapse into emotional chaos. When friction appears, she confronts it. She speaks directly, She seeks understanding. Her instinct is to preserve the bond, not escape the tension. And you realize this is because her sense of identity is not dissolving under the weight of emotion. She knows who she is, and because she knows who she is, she does not lose herself in temporary temptations. A woman who cheats, however, often carries a different psychological foundation. She lives with an internal vacuum, a subtle hollowness she may not even know exists. Her self-worth fluctuates with the attention she receives. Her emotions shift rapidly, like a landscape changing under violent weather. Instead of grounding herself in resilience, she chases temporary emotional spikes. She seeks the feeling of being chosen, desired, adored, not because she lacks love from her partner, but because she lacks stability within herself. This is why a man can give her everything, and she still feels drawn to the illusion of more. And it is here that you begin to grasp a painful but liberating truth. A woman's loyalty is primarily a reflection of her relationship with her own discipline, not the intensity of your devotion. You could offer her loyalty, care, consistency, and presence. If she lacks inner boundaries, those gifts fall through her like water slipping through open fingers. But if she has cultivated inner command, emotional regulation, self-respect, psychological clarity, she protects the relationship with a quiet fierceness that feels almost sacred. You start to see patterns. The loyal woman asks questions because she wants to understand. The cheating-prone woman asks questions because she wants to confirm her fears or fuel her fantasies. The loyal woman seeks stability in conflict. The unfaithful woman seeks escape. One leans in when things get difficult. The other pulls away the moment emotional discomfort touches her. And though their surface behaviors may look similar, their motivations come from opposite sides of the psyche. You realize the most powerful distinction between them is this. The loyal woman chooses the relationship even when the emotional high fades. The cheating-prone woman is loyal only to the feeling, not the bond. When the feeling weakens, so does her loyalty. She interprets emotional turbulence as a sign that something or someone else must fill the void. This is why a stoic masculine presence does not magically keep a woman faithful. It simply reveals which category she belongs to. To the loyal woman, your emotional steadiness becomes the grounding force she respects, admires, and orients herself around. To the unstable woman, your steadiness becomes a mirror reflecting her own restlessness, driving her deeper into the pursuit of emotional stimulation. But here is the crucial part. Your role is not to judge her, or resent her, or attempt to change her. Your role is to observe without attachment, to recognize these psychological markers with the clarity of a philosopher and the detachment of a strategist. You must understand that her behavior is not about you. It is about the architecture of her mind, shaped long before you arrived. Yet even with this clarity, you do not adopt cynicism. Instead, you cultivate discernment. You learn how to read the subtle signals, the way she responds to adversity, the way she handles tension, the way she behaves when attention fades. You pay attention to her relationship with silence, with responsibility, with truth. Because a woman's fidelity is not revealed when she is satisfied. It is revealed when she is uncertain, emotional, or tempted. And as these realizations take root in you, something shifts. You become less reactive, more observant. Less entangled, more sovereign. You stop searching for guarantees and instead develop the ability to perceive character. With this, you move from a man hoping not to be betrayed to a man who sees the landscape clearly and walks through it with calm, deliberate authority. As you move deeper into this understanding, you begin to realize that the true test of a woman's loyalty doesn't unfold in moments of romance or emotional harmony. It reveals itself in the quiet, uncomfortable spaces where desire, doubt, and opportunity intersect. Because every woman, loyal or not, will eventually face those crossroads where temptation whispers and emotional impulses clash with her principles. The difference lies in what governs her, the fleeting storm of emotion, or the deeper architecture of her character. You start to see that loyalty is not built from passion, affection, or even love. It emerges from discipline, the discipline to choose integrity over impulse, to choose long-term alignment over short-term escape. A woman who possesses this discipline stands out in ways that seem almost invisible to the untrained eye. She has a quiet resilience, a grounded presence that does not sway with every shift of emotional wind. She can feel attraction to someone else without allowing that feeling to rewrite her values. She can experience dissatisfaction without seeking a replacement. She carries an inner fortress, one she guards not for you, but for herself. In contrast, the woman who cheats is often governed by emotional immediacy. She moves according to how she feels in the moment, not by what she believes in. Her loyalty weakens whenever her emotional state fractures. If she feels neglected, she seeks validation. If she feels insecure, she seeks reassurance. If she feels bored, she seeks stimulation. Her internal compass does not point to truth, it points to relief. And relief is unreliable, unpredictable, and easily influenced by whoever offers attention at the right moment. You begin to understand the subtle, almost hidden psychology behind these dynamics. The loyal woman interprets conflict as a challenge to be resolved. The unfaithful woman interprets it as a sign to drift. The loyal woman feels anchored to her own sense of responsibility. The unfaithful woman feels anchored to emotional escape routes. The loyal woman protects the bond because it reflects her values. The unfaithful woman protects the bond only as long as it reflects her emotional comforts. But here is the truth most men never internalize. You cannot inspire loyalty in a woman who has not developed loyalty within herself. No amount of love, attention, leadership, or masculine presence will rewrite her emotional foundation. What you can do and what you must do is remain loyal to your own standards. You must become the kind of man who recognizes instability before it becomes betrayal, who sees the red flags without painting them white, who values his emotional peace more than the illusion of a connection that cannot sustain itself. And when you embody this internal clarity, something powerful happens. Women who lack emotional boundaries find you difficult to manipulate because your steadiness exposes their inconsistency. Women who chase chaos feel uncomfortable around you because your calm presence reveals the turbulence they carry. The unfaithful woman will often distance herself, not because you are lacking, but because you do not feed the emotional volatility she depends on. Meanwhile, the loyal woman gravitates toward you with a sense of respect she rarely offers others. She feels the strength of your boundaries, the sharpness of your discernment, the quiet gravity of your presence. She recognizes that your attention is not given lightly, and because of that, she treasures it. She aligns herself with you not out of fear or dependency, but out of admiration for the man you have become. A man who does not chase, force, or plead, but instead attracts through clarity, integrity, and composure. You begin to appreciate the deeper truth. Loyalty is a mirror. A loyal woman reflects the steadiness she has nurtured within herself. An unfaithful woman reflects the chaos she has never learned to quiet. And just as she reveals herself through her choices, you reveal yourself through the standards you uphold. So you move differently. You no longer fear betrayal, because fear is the symptom of a man who doubts his ability to walk away. Instead, you observe, you listen, you evaluate. You allow a woman to reveal her nature without trying to interfere with it. You understand that the truth always emerges, not in dramatic moments, but in subtle patterns. How she reacts under pressure, how she behaves when no one is watching, how she manages her emotions when they threaten to overwhelm her. And in this clarity, you grow into a new kind of power, the power of emotional sovereignty. Not dominance, not control, but sovereignty. You cannot control her choices, but you can control the access she has to your world. You cannot force her loyalty, but you can refuse to share your life with someone who lacks it. You cannot prevent her from betraying you, but you can prevent yourself from staying blind. This is the transformation that elevates you from a man hoping not to be hurt to a man who sees with calm, unwavering precision. You no longer search for a perfect woman. You search for a woman whose discipline aligns with your values. You no longer seek reassurance, you seek congruence. You are no longer guided by your fears. You are guided by your standards. And as this truth settles into you, you realize something simple, yet profound. Loyalty is not something you demand. It is something you allow to reveal itself. And because you have learned to see clearly, you will never again confuse emotional intensity with emotional integrity.